I'm the Paint Diva. Today we're going to learn how to do a stencil on the wall. We're going to make our own homemade stencil. So today I'm going to use this magazine picture as an inspiration. We're kind of going for a retro 70s feel down here in this basement, and I decided to kind of roll with the I Dream of Genie vibe. We're going to pretend we're making paper snowflakes. And I'm just going to use this as an experiment. Go. So we're going to start with our little paper model that we did at first, and you'll notice this little shape right here almost resembles a heart, and this is sort of half a circle. Okay, almost like a little puzzle piece. That's exactly the design that we're going to do. So don't be overwhelmed. It's really not that difficult. So we're going to use this as a model. And we're going to start out first with our little half of a heart shape. Like this. Then a straight line. Then a half a circle. Sort of like that puzzle piece. Scoop it over and drop it down. Doesn't have to be straight, doesn't have to be perfect, because it's all going to be multiplied and it's going to look perfect when it's done. So then we're going to cut it out. Here's the fold. Okay, the paper's folded in half down here. Cut it out. Here we go. Okay. Let's see how it turned out. We're going to open it up. Let's bring it around over here. Open it the other way and we'll test it out and see how we like it. Looks pretty good. First thing I want to do is decide exactly where I want to place my stencils. I know that I have room to put this approximately 3 times going across the wall. So the first thing I want to do is just approximately measure out where it's going to be, just so that I can place them where I want them to be. And I'm going to step back. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to get your painter's tape. And you're going to tape your stencil on. Now, because I've done this many times before, I trust my eyes. And I don't rely on the stencil that much. I'm really only relying on the stencil for the symmetry. If you want a nice, strong stencil, you can go dumpster diving and get yourself a nice big box from a refrigerator or a grill or some type of appliance. You're going to take this stencil, you're going to lay that on your box, draw it out, cut it out, and then you've got a nice, strong, sturdy stencil rather than this flimsy little finger. Done. I tried to make sure it's pulled side to side, top to bottom, so it's pretty even. You can kind of lift your tape back.
Well, there used to be a time when I loved bad boys. I was young and wild, loved to make some noise. Now I'm stuck with a grown man.
We'll lift that one off. Over to the next. Okay, so since we want to repeat our design 3 across, I would like them all to line up. I would like all the points to be even. So that's what a level is for. I'm going to start with the top point of this one, and I'm going to measure straight across and come zoom in on my level. Here's how a level works. Watch the little bubble of water. As I lift the level, it moves. So you want to center that right in the middle. So once you get it centered, you should be right in the right spot. So I'm going to just give myself a line all the way across the room. And now you have sort of your basic line all the way across. So now we know where to line up our stencil. So let's take the next one. We're going to line up our point with that line. folded over our stencil and lifted it up. And I want the top half to drop down to about there. Figured out, looking at these two, about where I want that point to come down. I would say right about there. Mark it off. And again, I'm going to get out my level first so that they're all even. Okay, so I finished lining up our stencil. You'll see that I put it all the way across the top and all the way across the bottom as well. Stepped back, took a look at it, made a couple adjustments. That's why we use chalk. And a couple, you got horizontal lines to make sure that it lines up horizontally. Also check your vertical lines so that one point lines up with the bottom point. And once you've got it all laid out, it's time to paint. Okay, so we're going to begin painting. Now let's talk about brushes. I like brushes that have a nice angled tip that helps you get your sharper corners. When we're doing something like this, if you come in a little closer, you'll see I've got a little artist brush. You can buy them really cheap at an art store. The way to get a nice tip, you want to dip it in the water and squeeze it tight. That'll help you get a nice sharp end. If you prefer, you can also work with a pointed brush like this. And the reason that I'm talking about this is because we need to paint inside this little point and this little tip right here. Turn it on an angle, work it with the point of the brush, and you can get your edges that way. Okay, that's how you fit into little skinny sections like that and fill it in. Now, I'm actually using the Aura paint. The reason I'm using the Aura is because it's self-priming and it covers really, really well. Now, since I have a pretty good steady hand, I'm going to just use a bigger brush, but I have, I'm experienced doing this. I do it quite a bit, so I can use the bigger brush. But if you are nervous about doing it, you're going to want to use a smaller brush. Again, I'm only going to dip the paint in only about an inch. This side's wiped off. There's paint only on one side, and I like to work with the angle of the brush. And depending on, which direction, see how I turn the brush to follow the shape and the angle. All right, you want to learn how to work with the brush. I have the paint, I'm sort of thinning out the paint, and you're going to follow the lines that we drew. Now, again, as I discussed before, if you really don't trust your hand at painting a nice straight line, you make yourself a sturdier stencil. This way we'd have the stencil on here and we'd paint inside it. The only reason I don't do it is because I don't trust it, because I don't like how the paint bleeds up underneath, but it's your personal choice. As if you're going to do straight lines, again, you could tape this off if you like to help yourself get straight lines. And don't worry about it not being perfect, because what we're going to do is anything that doesn't come out perfect, we're going to come back with the chocolate brown and we'll clean up our edges. And Max is joining us here today. Max, you want to see the paint? Maxie! So I've waited a full day to let our paint dry, and now all we have to do is wipe off our chalk. And then you'll get a good idea of what needs to be touched up. So I can see right here, I kind of made a little flub here and there, so I'm going to just come back with my artist brush and my brown paint, and I'm going to just touch up my edges, clean them up a little bit, and we're going to be done.